have you ever wondered why, if you mix instruments that have been recorded in nice sounding rooms, why we still almost always will add reverb? So in this video, I explain you the basic concept about why reverb is so important. My name is Dettwiler and stay tuned. So lately, a student of mine asked me why he should apply reverb, or in other words, why it did not sound good without reverbs, although what he has been recording was a grand piano recorded in a really nice room. I thought it's a very valid question. What is reverb for if we record in a nice room? Couldn't we just record all the reflection and basically the reverb from the real room in a way that we don't have to add additional reverb? Or in other words, why are reverb units so important in mixing? Because I wouldn't know any mix of any artist that really would have been produced without any reverb. Al Schmidt, Bruce Wiedian, whoever engineer you name it, they all use reverb. And I think it's really an important question because many hi-fi guys that are listening at home on their speakers, they also think that why do we use reverb as sound engineers? Why would they not just use two microphones and then just have a good place where the direct sound and reflections are mixed nicely on the microphones? Now in my last tutorial, where we discussed about why do we have to use EQ, although instruments were recorded in a nice way. I already explained a lot about differences about hearing music live in a nice room and hearing the music on speakers. So if you missed that tutorial, check it out maybe before you go on with that one. But with reverb, it's kind of similar. Now, in a real room, what happens? We are sitting at a nice place and in front of us is a grand piano or a group of musicians. So they play. And now, what is a real difference in a real room? What a sentence, a real difference in a real room? Yeah, is that because our ear, what's the name of this? Our hearing system is not symmetrical. So as you see, obviously, if sound is coming from the front, it hits our ears from the front. And for our brain, that's totally different than if something would come from the back. Because if a sound is coming from the back, it hits the ear from the back, which obviously the ear looks different if sound is coming from the back. And this results in different spectral bands. So that's actually how our brain can localize sound. That's how it can determine if sound is coming from front or from the back, or also from the top or from below us, because of the asymmetry of our hearing system. It just sounds a little bit different. And these little differences in spectral balance is good enough for our brain to calculate exactly where a sound or an instrument is coming from. This was very important for people living maybe 10,000 years ago, because if they would have heard an animal in the forest, they needed to know from which direction is this animal coming so that they could run in the other direction. And yeah, it's not so clear that we can hear in all those 3 dimensions with just 2 ears, but it really works because the ear is asymmetrical and has its special form that the ear has. So in a real room, our piano is playing, and the piano, the direct sound, clearly comes from the front, and our brain can localize it's coming from the front. Then the reflection comes from the back wall, back to our hearing system, and then it hits our ear from the back, and our brain can make the difference. So actually what our brain basically hears in a live room is direct sound and then reflections from all over the room, from the back, from the top. And this helps our brain to calculate where the real instruments is and also how the room really is. So in a real room, we really feel that real room. Actually, it's like a hug from the room, where we are surrounded by sound. And this is something that humans really like. If we are surrounded by sound, that's something we like. Now, no matter how we record this, whether we use 2 microphones only, or even if we use 8 microphones for just a piano, even if we use room microphones, well, that's all nice. However, all that the microphones are capturing is basically the movement of the air molecules at the position of the microphone. And then we mix it together, and finally, if the client is, or the listener is listening to this thing on the loudspeakers, well, that reflection might well have been recorded. However, it will be reproduced by the speakers, and the speakers obviously are in front of you again. So no matter how good we recorded the reflection coming from the back, but on the speakers they are coming obviously from the speakers. Where should they come from if not from the speaker? And usually you don't have speakers behind. I mean, that's one advantage of if you work for cinemas and you have 5.1 or even Dolby Atmos, then actually you could record room reflections and really give them to the back speakers, and then the room sounds way better. Then, I mean, you still would need reverb, but yeah, at least then you could let come something from the back. But in reality, music is heard on 2 speakers, usually at home, or on 2 headphones, meaning whatever room reflections we record is reproduced by the speaker. It does not sound as good as it was sounding live in the room. Okay, but now why do we use reverb? Because you could say, yeah, but if you use reverb, it also is reproduced by the speakers, and it also is obviously not coming from the back. Now, at this point, we have to look a little bit in the phenomenon that a physics guy called Blauer found out. And he researched about what is our hearing system actually doing if frequencies are coming from different directions. And that thing is called the Blauersche Frequenzen, Germany, or in English probably the Blauersche or Blauer frequency bands. You should find it in Wikipedia. And so actually what Blauer found out was that a sound that is coming from the back. So if we want to see what does the hearing system do, it's actually like amplifying 1000 hertz a little bit, and it's obviously subtracting 5000 hertz, which is very logical, because if you think if sound is coming from here, maybe very high frequencies cannot pass our hearing system. And he also found out that 300 to 400 hertz are subtracted a little bit. So what this is meaning is that if something is coming from our loudspeaker, but actually we would want to let this thing come like it would sound from the back, then we just could apply those Blauersche frequency bands. Blauer frequency bands, I really don't know how to pronounce it in English, and then I mean it still is not coming perfectly fine from the back, because I mean still we don't have a loudspeaker. However, we simulate how it would sound if it would come from the back, and what then happens is that actually this sound where we apply those Blauer frequency bands for how it would sound if it's coming from the back, it's actually simulating this, and then the sound gets wider and it actually starts to hug us. It actually starts to surround us. And this is actually a secret of wide sounding mixes, and all those engineers that are able to create wide sounding mixes, they even know about those Blauer frequency bands, or they might not know it, but they just found out by themselves, and they are just doing this sort of thing with the EQ. And now obviously all the designer of the reverb units, obviously they know about this theory, and they know about how do sounds in a real room sound if they come from the side or from the back to our hearing system, and they obviously also apply those techniques in their reverb designs. Lexicon is, I think, really good with this, or also Bricasti. So what happens if you really mix in those artificial reverbs rather than just blend in a room microphone? The artificial reverb also creates this surrounding the listener, this larger than life sound, because some of those Blauer frequency bands are applied in the reverb. And obviously they have many other tricks, but this is one important thing. So maybe to come to the conclusion, we want, when we listen to music, be surrounded or hugged by sound. We are, if we are listening music live in a real room, because obviously if we are in the real room and the real room is around us, we are surrounded. We are not surrounded anymore if we only have two speakers in front of us. By applying artificial reverb, however, we kind of simulate some saws or some tails that actually surround us again with a signal. And really you can check this if you're already in Spotify, although this is a lossy code, but still you can hear it very good. Just skip through certain mixes and all the good mixes will surround you with sound, although it's just stereo and although it's just two speakers. But the sound is not ending on the two speakers. It's not just like you would pan hard left, right, and that would be the end. In a good mix, it's always getting wider and wider, and you really have signals that surround you. You can check this by listening to my mixes, but you also could listen, I don't know, Frozen from Madonna. You could listen to the song Morning by Beck. That's a great wide sound. You could listen to some of the Coldplay productions also have it. Check the Coldplay production mixed by Michael Blauer. Parachutes, I hope I spell it right, is for sure one of those songs. There's some more modern mixes from Coldplay, other CDs that I don't like and that I think that are not so wide as they should be. But most good mixes, you could listen to Michael Jackson. They always are. They have sounds that are larger than life, that do these surrounding things. I think this is actually really the secret of a great mix. If you want to know a little bit about reverb design, there is one free tutorial that I did in YouTube, or then there is my masterclass, the Mixing Bible, that you could get on my homepage. It's not so expensive. The homepage is at dettwiler.com. And yes, subscribe to the channel if you liked it. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it, and see you again soon. Bye.